Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with 60 and Me. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope that you're doing okay wherever you are. I'm really happy to be part of your world and thank you so much for being a part of mine. I talk to women in our 60 and Me community a lot, and over the years I've started to see some themes appearing, and one that I want to talk to you today is I think one that's near and dear to the hearts of a lot of women in our community. I think as women, we tend to be givers, nurturers, we care for others, we're very empathetic. And this is just my observation of the women I've come to know in our community. And I think that it's true that we tend to be very focused on pleasing other people and making their lives easier, making things possible, solving problems, being creative. We're very resourceful. And I think if there's anything that I've noticed in the last year with this pandemic is the amount of tenacity and resourcefulness that older women have displayed. We have been, I think, so incredibly attentive to detail, following, guidelines and just doing what is necessary. We're very practical in that respect, but we often put other people before ourselves. And so being a people pleaser is the topic I want to talk to you about today. Now, everybody's going to sit there and say, oh, no, I'm not a people pleaser. I do my own thing. I'm my own person. And that may be, and that's wonderful if you've moved through that stage. But there are still so many women in our community who just don't feel comfortable putting themselves first. Now, Carol Donaldson is one of our bloggers, and she wrote this article on how to stop being a people pleaser. And we're going to talk about kind of the signs that indicate that you are trying to be in that kind of a role, and then how to break free of it. And I think that that's the kind of, it's a mission for 60 and Me for one thing. I think that one of the goals of our community here is to help women to find their voice and to find themselves and to make the transitions that start really in their 50s when their children are leaving home. If you have children, your jobs are coming to an end, or at least the currency that you own in those positions, in those jobs is reducing. So you feel like you're not making the same impact. And all those times when you've kind of gotten strength and meaning and purpose from relationships giving to those people, you now are finding that that's not the case anymore, that you don't have that, but you still have to find replacements. And there are some very interesting replacements that you may not have thought of that we'll talk about. So, how many times have you said yes to do something, even if it's not convenient? I mean, look, I'm 72. I've actually, had many years of practice for this. And I'm telling you, I still say yes to things that are not convenient for me. Is it a good time to talk? Sure. And it's like, even if you could say, well, no, actually, I was in the middle of doing something, but no, of course, it's great. What's up? How are you doing? I do this all the time. And in a way, sometimes it's okay because you know the person or you know the background, and if they want to talk, you want to talk. It's like, it's part of your, part of who you are. It's not as much pleasing them as it is just being who you are. But there are so many people that sometimes take advantage of that. And they test you with it, and they test you with, asking you to do things that you just don't want to do. It could be an interruption like that, or it could be putting your plans on hold because somebody else has got plans. Like you want to do something, but then this other person or a group or whatever puts an obstacle or option in front of you. Oh, we really could have used you, or we really can use you to take that volunteer position or to be on the phone for this meeting, or that's very disappointing if you can't be there. And people that are used to getting what they want from other people and kind of preying on people pleasers know how to do this. They know how to make you feel guilty. Is it either guilt or is it because you just are a little bit afraid to say no? And that's, I think, something that a lot of older women are afraid of. As I mentioned earlier, as you've lost all those other connections that gave you purpose and structure and context, being a mom, being a worker, being a volunteer, be it whatever, you now don't have those anymore. So you tend, in some cases, to overcompensate by pleasing other people. So you never go out of your way, you never hesitate to go out of your way for a friend. And you might even say to yourself that, but I do that for my friends, that's what I do. And that's okay if you want to do it. But a lot of people will start saying, gosh, I wish I hadn't made that commitment, or I really don't want to do that anymore. I've been on that board for 20 years and now they want me to do this next festival arrangement, whatever. And it's like, I just don't want to do that anymore. But you've now got yourself into a situation where you cannot say no. So the problem is that if you actually said to people, I'm sorry, but I don't want to do that, they may push back, but they get it. But you're afraid to ask. That's the key thing that Karen talks about. And I think it's really important. Anyway, what are some of the signs that you should be looking out for? Because it may not be obvious to you. Maybe it's partly because you're not taking care of yourself, because you're busy taking care of everybody else. Maybe it's because you're like, you get everybody else to the doctor's office for a checkup, but you don't go yourself. You'll drive someone to the mall so they can pick up something, or if the shops were actually open right now. But, you say yes when you really don't want to. It often can be manifest when you don't feel appreciated. And this is a really subtle one, because people will always say thank you when you give them something for nothing. When you give them your time, you give them money, you give them, they'll always say thank you. But you may not feel in your heart that you are truly appreciated. And that's where this starts to go into a danger zone, because there's no problem with giving and helping and sharing and loving and being there for people. The next thing is, though, that you feel guilty. And I think that's one that is hard, because that goes deep. And I remember a friend of mine once told me, he said something, I'm not feeling guilty, because guilt is not a feeling, it's a way of life, Margaret. I remember him saying that and thinking, it is a way of life. It's a way of looking at the world. It's the way of kind of a positioning for your actions. And then you feel guilty. And then when you feel guilty, you feel bad. And it's like, it's not a good thing. You compromise on your values. That's a really, really big one. And it depends how far you want to go with this. Because, like, for example, some people have particular values around, I'm just thinking, like for example, plastic. Like, don't buy plastic. And maybe that's one of your values. You would prefer to not buy bottled water or something, something silly like that. But it's just a small thing, but it's a value. It's something that's important to you. And then you say somebody gives you a bottle of water, they buy something that's plastic, and you want to say something, but you want to please them. Oh, that's really lovely. What a great thing that is that you just bought. And you don't have the courage to say, wow, have you considered that's purchasing something in wood rather than plastic? That might be, and just having the nerve to sort of state your mind. Because if you don't do that, all you're doing is pleasing another person and pleasing their values. And again, this is such a fine line. I don't mean to sound preachy, and I'm not really at all. It's more just that you can draw the line, you can make your boundaries wherever you want them to be. The reason that Karen actually wrote this article, which is kind of a sideways look at this, which goes to the point of ways being a people pleaser can hurt you physically, is how it relates to your weight. And that's kind of the gist she was taking with her article, is that if you do all these things for other people, you're going to end up exhausted and resentful and tired. And that is going to lead you to, repeat after me, carbs make you feel happy. They have this really insidious little quality that they actually can trick your brain into thinking that you're happy. So when you eat carbs, biscuits, all those wonderful carbohydrates, yes, you feel good. You feel a little energy for a bit. You feel kind of that burst of positivity, and it's just not going to last. And you know that. Serotonin and dopamine are your friends for about 10 minutes, and then they run away, and they're just not there anymore for you. And they're not very loyal friends, because they only last, they're temporary. So you might feel good for the short term. And that's where this kind of people-pleasing behavior can actually affect your weight, because you just eat. Now, Karen says something really interesting, that people eat food, of course, but especially carbohydrates and sweets and sugars and chocolate bars and whatever, to feel high. I mean, that's really why we do it. We don't know that's what we're doing, but we do. And you sometimes find, when you're addressing an issue, like money, for example, or something like that, you think, I always reach for chocolate, because it makes you just forget the pain around something, if that's what it is. It's a bit, food can be very deceptive. But she also talks about this, food doesn't ask you for anything. You don't have to people please food. You just have to eat it. And I think that's a really, really powerful image of that. You turn, sometimes people who are feeling that they're just giving too much of themselves to other people will eat a lot of food that's maybe not so nutritious and healthy, because they just don't, food doesn't ask them anything. It doesn't request any activity or any, energy. It's just like, just eat me. That's all you have to do. And the more, the better, because you'll feel better. See, and it's okay. And that's how little food people talk to you in your imaginary world. So Karen has a book, actually. It's called Beat the Belly Fat Blues, Mind Body Solutions for Permanent Weight Loss. And it's free. You can just check it out. And if you look at the article, I'll put a link to it. And she talks more about this business of being a people pleaser and how that leads to fatigue and resentment and anger. And that leads to eating and overeating and overeating and overeating. Trust me, I'm speaking to myself here. This is not just a message for you. Do you try to please other people? Would you consider yourself a people pleaser? How do you deal with that now? Is this something that you're trying to get over and get through? Leave your comments in the section below. Let's have a conversation. I really would like a chat. And if you love these videos, please join, subscribe to this channel, please, because it helps us to get to more people, more women. Subscribe and ring the buzzer, little bell. There's a notification bell next to the subscribe word, and just press that, and then you'll be told when new videos are published. And I only publish them here on YouTube, so this is where you come for Margaret's videos if you're interested. But thank you for being here, for watching, for participating, and look forward to reading your comments on how you feel about being a people pleaser, if you are one, or not. Let's have a chat. Okay, everybody, well, take very good care. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye for now.